Thanks for tuning in, guys. This episode, we're going to be talking about a movie that is new, and I was originally thinking when we talked about doing this one a couple of weeks ago that we were going to miss the train on this one, but it still was like number one at the box office this past weekend, which is the new M. Night Shyamalan movie called Split. And me and Mark saw this movie separately, and I will be the first one to say that after I saw it, I'm glad that I did not drive an hour to go see it.
Yeah, that would have been a long drive for that. I guess I would say I'm a fan of M. Night Shyamalan. I mean, I loved The Sixth Sense. I thought Signs was pretty good. The Visit, last year's movie he had out, I thought was really good. I really enjoyed that. Did we talk about that one did we do a podcast on that one?
I don't believe we did.
Okay. I really liked that one. I thought that one was really good.
Oh, see, I was not that big of a fan of that one, mainly just because of the fact that when I watched that one, I had it figured out like 15 minutes into the movie. I was like, oh, those old people kind of thing.
So you figured out the plot then.
Yeah, it was, and I was thinking about this when we were talking about doing this one a couple of weeks ago, and I'm the same as you. I'll admit I am an M. Night Shyamalan fan, even though, and this is where it gets kind of weird, I can't say the last time that I saw an M. Night Shyamalan movie that I was like, oh, that was awesome. I think it might have been The Village.
You like The Village?
I did like The Village. And this is the weird thing with his movies, and this goes all the way back to The Sixth Sense even. When The Sixth Sense came out, I was blown away. I was like, that was brilliant. And then Unbreakable came out, and I was like, what the hell was that? But then some of the other ones, like Signs, I thought was really good when that first came out. The Village, I thought was really good when that first came out. But of those first three movies that I really liked of his, so The Sixth Sense, Signs, and The Village, if I watch them now, I'm kind of like, I mean, The Sixth Sense, sorry folks if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense. Well, we don't necessarily have to give that one away, but I mean, that's what he's kind of known for, is having that twist end to his movies. Mm-hmm. So, the thing with The Sixth Sense is if you watch it nowadays, you kind of know what the twist is from the very beginning of the movie, so it kind of loses a little bit of its oomph. The same thing with Signs. Not so much that it loses its oomph when you watch it nowadays. The thing with Signs is, and this goes back a couple of years, I was reading a thing about major plot holes in movies that make absolutely zero sense. And one of the things that was on the list was, why do these aliens come to a planet that is 80% water if water's the one thing that will kill them? And so every time I watch Signs now, I'm kind of like, that's kind of lame. In The Village, too, although I will say of all of the previous ones, The Village is probably the one that I still do enjoy. Just because even the plot twist in that one, you're like, wow, that's cool. Even though I don't think it's really believable. I mean, I know it's a movie and all, but you have these villagers living out in the middle of a national park. Pretty sure they would be detected nowadays for sure.
Yeah, I thought that one was okay. I didn't think it was a terrible movie. I don't know. It just wasn't one that really stuck with me. But this movie I was actually really looking forward to. I'm a big fan of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, and I've always thought that the storyline or the of Psycho, the whole different personalities and the whole psychological element of that film was just brilliant and just so interesting. And then like the final end of that movie when the psychiatrist is talking about him and the study or what who Norman Bates had become and all of that just always fascinated me. So I was hoping that this movie would be like a modern day Psycho in a way, like where it would be just as good, only with the modern elements put into place. And it had its moments where it was somewhat interesting, but I think ultimately, I guess, kind of like what you were saying, I was sort of let down by it. I just definitely not a movie I want to see again, which is a bad sign. And it just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't have that it factor that would really like make you want to go watch it, multiple times. And then even the little ending thing, which hooks the movie to probably one of my least favorite of his movies. That was kind of interesting and sort of was like, oh, okay. Wasn't enough to be like, yeah, this is great. I can't wait to, see what happens with this.
One thing we probably should go ahead and say is spoiler alert, just in case, because we probably will end up giving pieces of it away. And well, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and give a big thing away that I actually knew going into this movie, which kind of sort of probably wrecked it a little bit for me. And that was, I had read before I seen this one that this is related to the movie Unbreakable. So when I was watching it, I kind of had that feeling and wasn't necessarily looking for things that was related to Unbreakable, but I kind of was like, oh, something's going to happen here, and this guy is going to have superpowers or something, some weird thing or something's going to happen that it's going to be related to Unbreakable. So I kind of knew that ending was coming. And I honestly, it wasn't even really as some of his other movies were. I didn't really think this one even really had that much of a twist, which is kind of what you expect when you go see an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Is as you're watching it, you're sitting there waiting for the twist, and you're waiting for the twist, and you're waiting for the twist. And this one, I didn't really think there was a twist.
Yeah, I think the only twist was, well, kind of like the I don't know if you call it it wasn't really a twist. I guess more of a reveal was that the whole thing takes place in a zoo or behind the scenes of a zoo. I did like in the trailer. I like one of the things that they bring up in the trailer was the whole idea that this character who has multiple personality disorder is able to use his mind to affect the physiology of his body, and which I thought was pretty interesting, and like he turns into what they call the Beast in this movie, where he's like this really strong creature that that was kind of like from a I think that concept is pretty interesting. Like you could use your mind and become whatever you want. I think it's really fascinating. But for this particular movie, I don't think it just didn't do it for me. I think it was like kind of like the idea that he could be shot and survive. I think that kind of took away from the film. I mean, obviously it links it to Unbreakable. So, that he's kind of like a superhuman, super villain or super character. I don't know, because the movie's so serious and so tries to be so like in the real world. And then at the end of the movie, it gets kind of a little bit, goes off into that direction, which was a little strange.
The only thing that bugged me about that was if he did that, how come he didn't do that with every character? Especially, which one of the things that they could have done that would have been kind of cool with that is, so he has these 23 personalities, and we're only introduced to a couple of them in the movie for long periods of time. There is one scene in the movie where one of the girls that is held captive uncovers all of these video clips on a computer, and she's watching a bunch of them. So we see a bunch of the different characters on there. But one of the characters that gets a lot of screen time is this little boy whose name is Hedwig. If his body is going to contort to these different personalities, they should have made him, like, when he was like Hedwig, like, kind of shrink up a little bit, which maybe they kind of sort of were trying to do that, because every time Hedwig was on scene, he was always kind of sitting down for...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
At the very end, when he did, like, his body kind of changed, I was like, well, how come his body didn't change for everybody else? That's kind of weird. One of the girls, the main girl that got captured in this one, did you recognize that girl?
No, I didn't.
Anya Taylor-Joy. She is the girl who played the main character in The Witch from earlier this year.
Oh, yeah, you know what? She did look familiar. That's right. Now, thinking back to that, yeah, you're right.
I watched this movie with the same daughter that went with us when we went and saw The Witch. And like 3/4 of the movies, I'm sitting here, I'm like, who the hell is that? And she's like, that's the girl from The Witch. I'm like, oh,
that's right.
It totally is. That's cool.
Now I knew she looked kind of familiar. I just didn't know. See, I didn't like that movie either, though. So that might have been why I didn't know. It didn't occur to me instantly.
I did like that movie.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those episodes, too, where the two grouchy old men kind of disagree with a lot of people, because evidently this movie is, obviously it's very popular. It's like in its third week at the theaters, and it's, if I remember, I heard earlier today that it was still at number 1. Now, granted, there's not a lot of other really good movies out right now. Yes. I think it's competing up against, mainly the Oscar contenders that have been out for a while. And the other thing I will say about M. Night Shyamalan movies is, this is what I was telling you a couple of weeks ago, is even though I haven't really liked a movie of his since The Village came out, which was in 2004, I have seen almost every one of them that has come out since then. Most of them in the theater. The only one that I have not seen, there's 2 of them that I haven't seen since The Village came out, and that the first one is The Last Airbender, just because I knew that was based off of that anime show or whatever, and I had no desire to see that, and then I heard it was horrible. And then the other one was After Earth from a couple of years ago, which starred Will Smith and his son, and I was like, nope. That's a hard no.
And what about The Happening? Did you see that one?
Yep, I did see that one.
You did? Okay.
And I only saw that one once, and I saw that one once and The Lady in the Water once, and if I remember right, both of those, I was like, what the hell is going on here?
I didn't finish Lady in the Water. That's one I've always been interested in going back and checking out. I got like the beginning of it, and then I, for whatever reason, never finished it.
If I remember right, it wasn't very good, or I wasn't really into it. But yeah, I mean, I keep going back and checking him out, so he's doing something right, evidently.
Yeah, he's really made a name for himself, and I even think too. I think he was a ways back connected to doing a Halloween movie at one time. Or he was being tossed up. I think that was way before the zombie. That might have been around the H2O time period.
Looking at his Wikipedia page earlier, and the first big movie that he's known for is The Sixth Sense, but he actually had 2 movies before that. One called Praying with Anger, and then another one called Wide Awake.
Yeah, I've never seen those. I've never even heard of those.
Yep, I've never seen either one of them either. But the interesting thing on here, which I think you'll get a kick out of, is, so he has a couple of television credits as well. One he was on an episode of Entourage 10 years ago, and then he had his show that was on Fox or whatever, FX or whatever last year, that Wayward Pines, which I never did see that. But then for 2017, it's marked as Tales from the Crypt.
Ooh, really?
But it doesn't have any other information on it at all.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, I'd like to figure out what that's about.
I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That's really cool.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm pulling it up now. So Tales from the Crypt television series, #reboot.
Oh, so they were going to do that? Never came to pass, and I assume.
Hold on. In January 2016, Entertainment Weekly reports that M. Night Shyamalan will helm the reboot as part of TNT's new 2-hour horror block. A 10-episode season is slated for 2017.
This is actually really, really exciting. I bet you he could do something good with that.
Or it could be a piece of crap like everything else he's touched in the past couple of years, too. Either way. I mean, it can go either way.
That could be, too. You're right. You never know.
Yeah, we didn't even really talk about the premise of this one. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So you had these 3 girls who are essentially kidnapped by this guy who has 23 different personalities, and as we were talking earlier, they are kind of split into 2 different groups. There's 3 personalities that have kind of taken the helm, if you will, and are kind of suppressing the rest of the personalities, and they are expecting this 24th personality to emerge, basically, is what the movie entails. I had high hopes for it, and I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes into it, and I was kind of, honestly, I was bored more than anything. I was just bored. It was predictable, and I just was kind of like, eh.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was. I don't know if I was bored per se, but I was definitely just kind of like, I wasn't on the edge of my seat by any means, and that's kind of what I was hoping for. And I know we disagree on The Visit, but with The Visit, I was far more like jumping and really getting into it, especially in the theater. With this, it was just kind of like, it's kind of a neat idea, but it just doesn't seem to be being executed very well.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. Like, this could have been done so much better than what it was. But maybe too, it was because I knew going into it that it had this connection to Unbreakable, so I kind of already was like expecting something to happen. But
yeah, well, that makes sense.
That guy who played the main character, James McAvoy, he's a good actor. I like the other stuff he's in. The girl who played the main character in this from The Witch, she's pretty good. It was shot okay. It was, I mean, for the most part, I think it was directed okay, edited okay, all that good stuff. But yeah, it was just the story just wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't quite right.
We'll see what he's got coming out next,
and we'll go see it, I'm sure.
Yeah, we probably will.
So I think that's going to wrap it up for this week. So the two of us give this one unfortunately, kind of a thumbs down, I would say.
Yeah, I was kind of debating, should I go ahead and just give it a thumbs up just to say go see it? But to be honest with you, I'm going to have to give it a thumbs down just because it just really, to me, wasn't really that good of a movie. Especially for a thriller or a horror thriller, it just did not do it for me. So I'm going to say save your money. I don't know, maybe wait till it pops on Netflix and if you got a few hours to kill.
Or get your fingernails pulled out. Either way.
Yeah, do that too.